players go, players come. Look, we've had players who are greater in terms of their ability and profile than those who have been called today. Yet, we didn't get far in tournaments because of disciplinary issues, because of how we were able to handle those matters. Look at the 2014 team. Indiscipline cost us a lot. I would argue that that team was perhaps even more talented than the 2010 team. Asamoah was in his prime. I watched him beat Neuer with that his second goal against Germany. Fantastic strike. He was in greater shape. Look at Asamoah. Look at that assist he provided Asamoah against Portugal. World class. But we didn't get anywhere because we were unable to manage disciplinary issues in the camp. So sometimes a disciplined unit can get more done than a talented but indisciplined unit. So we must, as supporters, throw our weight behind our national team, irrespective of who is there. We may have personal affiliations with players, but those personal affiliations must be subsumed under the larger national interest, which is that we should do well at the World Cup. If you go and we do well, that is fine. If we do not achieve the objective that we have set ourselves, it is not the end of the world.
Before we wrap up on this conversation, I want us to put this matter to bed, because you were close to government at the time in 2014. So word on the street was that, or probably my engagement with the major stakeholders at the time, was that it was because government delayed in, taking monies to Brazil. It really accounted for our Bismarck show win. What exactly? Why would anybody want government at the time to take the flak?
For any player to say that money has delayed and therefore they were not going to play or hold the team to ransom was a great mark of indiscipline. And it's the reason why that team, despite having perhaps greater prospects than previous teams, didn't get far in that tournament. I don't think that is excusable at all for players to hold their nation to ransom. Because you see, the monetary incentives were not monies that these players had not seen before. At the time, Asamoah was playing in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken, and he was making something like $180,000 a week, if I'm not mistaken. So really, the $100,000 that he was going to get as appearance fee for the entire tournament was nowhere near what he was getting in a week at this club level. So money cannot have been the motivation for playing at the World Cup. If it was money, he would have stayed at his club and collected his money. You understand the point I'm making? Many of them were also making huge sums of money. So even if
that's not the kind of impression we got, because I have personally spoken to Coach Kwakye Ofosu, and he said in their game against Portugal, players, in fact, were kissing the money. They were extremely happy.
That standoff had distracted them.
So what I mean is that, in fact, you are seeking to create an impression like that money didn't mean anything to them.
Yeah,
but according to Coach Otoalo,
it should not have mattered.
Okay.
Yes, they are professional footballers, so they live off football. Yeah. But playing for your national team in a 2, 3 week, 4 week tournament did not require you to be so reliant on money as the main motivation for playing. Yeah. But you see, apart from the money, there's also the platform that it affords you. I recall Ruud van Nistelrooy commenting, actually wondering why Asamoah was playing in Dubai when he should be playing in the match in one of the top leagues in Europe. Because he thought that what he displayed against Germany was quality that was sufficient to get him to play in top European leagues and not in Dubai. So it was that platform that afforded him that level of recognition. Asamoah came to the limelight in 2010. He himself has said that Steve Bruce brought him to Sunderland because of his performance in the World Cup in 2010, when he missed that chance against that penalty against Uruguay and converted the first penalty. He displayed a certain tenacity which impressed Steve Bruce, who then brought him to Sunderland. So it was a World Cup that gave him the platform to go to Sunderland. So no amount of money could have bought him that kind of limelight. So it is a trade-off between appreciating the platform you are given. Today, players have missed the boat and they are upset. I don't think that is because of the money. Because when they stay at their class, they will make much more money. But they need that platform to showcase their skills and be able to land even more lucrative contracts because they will impress. At the World Cup is the highest level of football. Every player dreams to be there. Look at the excitement that the Brazilian players showed when they were selected. But these are mega rich players. Neymar does not need the World Cup to make any money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it is the money that motivates Neymar to go to the World Cup. Messi has seen it all. Mbappe earns close to €1 million a week at PSG. I don't think the French national team will give him that kind of money. So clearly, he is not going to the World Cup because of money. So for players to hold the whole nation to ransom because of some tens of thousands of dollars was most unfortunate. I don't think that a delay in delivering on the promise to give them money was sufficient to cause the sort of ruckus. I put it down to indiscipline. And for players like that, I think that they could have exhibited a bit more discipline and what do you call it, restraint, and not hold the country to ransom.
Could it be that they didn't trust the government at the time?
But they were going to be paid.
Yeah.
So if there is a delay in the payment, I don't think it was sufficient to warrant the sort of reaction that even the way that they received the money sent the wrong signals.
Yeah.
The way they were excited, these are players who see far more money than that on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis at the clubs that they play for. So for them to have been so enthralled by receiving those words of cash, it did not send the right signal at all. And it is at that point that many people began to lose interest in the Blasters.
Yeah.
And if the Blasters have struggled to garner support over the years, it is because of the attitude that they showed. They did not go down well at all with the generality of Ghanaians. So it is in the interest of the players to show a bit more commitment, aside the money, when they are called to play for the national team. Because it is something that many people relish. Indeed, our players, if the information available is anything to go by, are some of the highest paid in terms of national teams in the world. There are players in wealthier countries who don't get as much as some of our players get when they play for our national team. So the issue of money has become contentious. I don't think that should be the main motivation. So really, what happened in Brazil was unfortunate. I do not think that a delay in the payment justified the kind of reaction that we got. They should have showed a bit more restraint and better temperament than they did in those circumstances.
So what would be your advice to the ministry and the GFA alike?
Of course, it helps to build trust.
Yeah.
It helps to build trust. But we are a country with limited means. So it is entirely possible that at some point, resources may not be readily available to give to players. We do know that there are times that players are owed, coaches are owed for several months. That is not a desirable situation. We expect that authorities who are responsible for that will be able to do a better job and deliver in a more timely manner. But that, in my view, should not constitute a basis for players to rebel. If at this 2022 World Cup there's a delay, given our financial situation, and the money does not get to them as quickly as it should, I don't think it should be cause for them to pull the stance that their colleagues pulled in 2014.
Okay.
To play against Portugal at the World Cup should be sufficient motivation for any player, so that even if you were not getting a dime, you should be happy.
So on this basis, and then again, would you advise the players forgo the appearance fees?
No, I won't advise them to forgo. It is their profession. They are entitled to it just like ministers are paid, just like doctors are paid, just like teachers are paid. Nobody works for nothing. So it is their job. They take huge risks playing for the national team. Some of them have had their careers completely derailed because of injuries sustained at national team level. So it is perfectly understandable that they are compensated for the work they put in for the national team. But I'm not sure that monetary inducements should be the number one compelling reason for wanting to play for the national team or putting up your best at tournaments. And whilst I agree that officials should also do their work in a more efficient manner, I don't believe that a delay in paying monies to players should be sufficient reason for them to rebel and hold the country to ransom. Because like I said, there are many players in other countries who will play for free. There are some who have actually forfeited their winning bonuses. Some have actually given it out to charity.
I see you bandied around a few starting 11s and all of that. So now tell me, what would be your ideal starting 11 on the basis of the squad released by Ottawa?
Of course, I had Jojo Olakot imposed, but circumstances have made sure that won't happen. So I will pick Atizigi above Manaf. Atizigi, because I believe he's a bit more experienced. He also, for me, has had a more consistent run of games than Manaf. Dan Lad, I believe this will be a learning curve for him, and he should understudy the rest. So Atizigi will be imposed for him. Then I will play Dennis Odoi. even though Tariq really excites me, he's a more forceful, younger, more bombastic player. But I'll go for Denis Odoye's experience because he's playing at a high level. I think that against Portugal and Uruguay, we should play with a 3-back because they will play with a lot of intensity. You see, what these European nations do, what the big teams do when they meet lesser teams, is that they create overloads in attacking areas, just like Brazil did. When they do that, it stops us. It creates a choking press. So they press us so hard that we are unable to get out of our defensive blocks to go and attack them. So that is what creates that gulf between us and them. And they tend to score a lot of goals against us. So we need to solidify our defense and midfield against this. We also need to have sufficient numbers in that area of the pitch to clog the place so that they do not have the spaces to do any damage to us. So I think we should play a 3-back. So it is Denis Odoye on the right, then Amate with Juku as the sweeper, Salisu as the left-sided centre-back, and then Gideon Mensah. And then in midfield, I would like to see a combination of Salis and Partey, with Salis being the DM and Partey having the ability to move forward. To take.
So you mean you're playing Denis Odoye and then Gideon as wing backs?
As wing backs, they should play as wing backs, exactly, so that then the space we leave on the wings because of the packing of our defense can be utilized by them. So it is Salis, Partey, and then Kudus in front of them. And then I would like to see, what do you call it? Kamel Sowa starts ahead of Jordan Ayew. And then there's Inaki Williams up front. So this would be my starting 11 against Portugal.
Against Portugal?
Yes. The same against Uruguay. Against South Korea, I think we should play a back 4. Yes, we should play. And then add Kofi Chire to the midfield. Yes.
And then Kofi Chire will replace who?
So Kofi, he will just be, so we'll take out one central defender and replace him with Kofi Chire in midfield so that we have more mobility going forward.
Always exciting having to engage you on issues of Black Stars. I'm quite grateful for your time, Brother.
I'm happy to.
All right, thank you very much.